So guys, Rufai don't come again. You need to hear his reaction, as regards to the speech that Tinubu gave to Nigerians. A whole lot of misinformation. Nigerians, there was a country. There was a country. Take a look at what Rufai has got to say. Just listen for yourself.
Coming to the speech, below par, I will give it. If I'm to score it, I will score it very bad. What did I expect? I expect a lot more. I expect more measures to cushion the effects. A lot of the things that were said are things that when we look at them, you say you have done them, but we have not seen the effect of the economy. So there's a misalignment between what is said and what we see. For instance, he talked about securitization of ways and means. He used the term clearing. He used the term the 7 billion encumbrances cleared. But we all remember that the CBN had to set up some auditors to verify the ones that they were going to clear. And some people said they didn't get theirs as regards those forex encumbrances. Till today, we've not sorted out the forex problem. The talk then was, if we clear the encumbrances, the naira will come down. Today, it's still pegged about 1.6. After using the Dutch auction system, that didn't avail much, the CBN has now gone to paying BDCs, selling to BDCs at 1,590 to be able to cushion the effect of the dollar. So, he was saying, yeah, we are meeting our obligation. I think there was a story around, but maybe it's been disputed, that we couldn't pay some of our bond obligations, or there was a delay in the payment of some of our bond obligations. One of the foreign media agencies ran that story, but I think the DMO disputed that it was just probably a system glitch. He went further to say we are doing a lot about security. No. There's still a big lacuna as regards security in the system. We are still having this hydra-headed monster, these bandits, that we've not been able to tackle. Some gains have been made. I'm not going to dispute that. He talked about agriculture. Yes, it's harvest season, so we are having a reduction in food price. We're having a reduction in inflation in the 2 quarters. But guess what? Core inflation is still on the increase. Okay, today we will know what Dangote has finally resolved with the NNPC. Okay, maybe they're going to start selling to them in the dollar, so we can know the exact price. Then the one that take me back a little bit. You want to set up a national confab for 30 days. What for? It's not just going to be a waste of our resource we don't have. You are hearing the youth speak every day in protest. I'm not going to blame your government for it, but the largest confab of youth in recent time in Nigeria, which was NSAS protest, guess what happened? You people shut them down. It's not your government. I'm going to blame your government for that. That's Buhari's government. The youth protested the other time. You people charge them for treason. That's the largest confab of youth speaking. You don't need a confab and put them under air condition. We start to hear that they shared money here and there and all of that. And to top it up, like it's not enough, you now decided to use this ceremony to give your friends awards, national honors. I think we need to rejig our national honor system in this country. You are giving the Senate president what have they prevailed over? You are giving other what have they prevailed over? So there's just so much of it. We love this country, that's why we talk. But President Tinubu, you need to do more. Meet us halfway. Like Onipeko Breastfeed said today, remove the chokehold on the neck of Nigerians.
All right.
Okay, I listened to President Tinubu this morning, and Arise News provided us with some of the excerpts. Now, what are the things that stand out for me in that speech? They are as follows. One, the president acknowledged the fact that Nigeria is still a work in progress, that we have not yet fulfilled the dreams of the founding fathers of Nigeria, but that we should not relent in working towards that future. In other words, we all have a collective responsibility to get that lofty destination to achieve the potentials of our country. And it was in that regard that he referred to the can-do spirit. That's the phrase in that speech. The can-do spirit of the average Nigerian. Yesterday, I was quoting Senator Godswill Akpabio when he said, look, Nigerians are very resilient people. And this is the same point echoed in the president's Independence Day speech, that Nigerians are very resilient people. And he asks us to be more patient, that we will get to the promised land. Again, the president is saying, look, there is light at the end of the tunnel. The last time I heard that, it was Starmer, speaking at the Labour Congress, Labour Conference in Liverpool, the United Kingdom. So, essentially, he presented that speech as a message of hope that Nigeria should not descend into despondency. Then in the second part of the speech, he started talking about what his administration has achieved. Well, what has his administration achieved? He said he met ways and means deficit of about 30 trillion, and that they've been able to clear all the backlog. He met within the system issues with foreign exchange stability. He says his administration has been able to stabilize the foreign exchange regime in Nigeria. Now, there are persons who may argue with that. He said he met a foreign reserve of 30 billion, that under his watch, the government has been able to increase it to $37 billion. And he says we will continue to meet our obligations and pay our bills. Now, you could see the finance people coming from that angle, the monetary policy people making their own input into the speech. The experts will tell us whether this is actually true or not. On the fiscal policy side, he said his administration is committed and has done a lot, to provide an enabling environment for free enterprise, free exit, free entry. And he cited the example, if I recall him clearly, what the government is doing in the oil and gas industry. ExxonMobil, Seplat, which he says is due to get ministerial approval, and how in that particular sector that the government is committed. On agriculture, he talked about collaboration with states like Niger, Jigawa, and a number of other states, and said that the administration is committed to working with these states. On security, he says they've been able to eliminate 300 Boko Haram leaders and bandits, and that they intend to do more so that farmers can return to the farms. Well, can the farmers return to the farms? Is there security, particularly in the Northwest and the Northeast? He talked about the National Relief Fund, about flooding, and how they are going to fix dams in the country. Well, we hope that after that speech today by President Tinubu, we will not come here next year and they will still say Lagdo Dam. They will still say one dam in one river in Borno State has again been overflooded. So on the other fronts, he talked about also national honors. I thought that was an irrelevant part of that speech. Whoever wrote that speech should not have included that part. Other than mentioning, we will do national honors, please. At the time when Nigerians are very angry, you are telling them you will give some people national honors. You will, of course, we know. But why announce it on October 1? Then, of course, policy as the next stage in that speech. In terms of policy, he talked about the plan to have economic stabilization bills sent to the National Assembly. He talked about National Youth Confab for 30 days, where we are hoping that National Youth Confab is not just an opportunity to talk. Because what is the effect? What will be the outcome? Are the national youths, are they going to make proposals for constitutional amendment? It's on the surface of it an opportunity to just make, people, create a talk shop. The next thing, of course, is that we do not expect that this national confab will be a confab of APC youths. And an attempt to put money in APC youth's pocket for the next election. However, the only positive side of that is that today, Nigerian youths are saying they are going to go out in protest. Fearless in October, they call it. And so the president, very early in the morning, has said, look, we are ready to talk to you. We are ready to engage you, as if our president is imitating President William Ruto of Kenya. Finally, presidential speeches on an occasion like this should be devoted more to lofty ideas. I think in terms of rating, what are the big policy issues coming out of this speech? Where are the quotable quotes? I read that speech, the reading was a bit flat. Okay? So for future purposes, those who write the president's speeches, they should look for something that people can hang on as concrete items. In terms of that content, in terms of that policy orientation, I think this just looks like another routine speech on Independence Day?
All right, so 3 concrete things we can hold, at least from my perspective, which I would like to talk about this morning. Number 1 is the National Youth Conference, because I actually mentioned this yesterday, and I said that one of the things I'd like to hear in the speech today would be that there's some form of forum or a coming together of young people to actually hear and listen to the concerns, especially because the protests in recent times have been largely driven by the youth of Nigeria, which in his speech he acknowledged make up 60% of the population. You cannot be president where the makeup of the citizens of the country are the higher percentage of that do not feel like their voices are being heard. And so this is long overdue. And so I welcome that development. However, we must learn from what has happened in the past. The National Confab in 2014, we saw how much money was spent on that. The selection of delegates to that confab couldn't have been faulted in many regards. However, what happened to the outcome of that confab? What happened to the recommendations from that conference? It almost seemed like money down the drain. There's no point calling for or instituting a national youth conference if at the end of the day, nothing would be done with regards to the recommendations or the agitations expressed by the young people who I believe would be drawn from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. So it's very important, number 1, the selection of the delegates to that conference to ensure it's a free and fair process and that all aspects of society are represented. And by this, I mean irrespective of your political leanings, irrespective of your tribe, your tongue, irrespective of ability or disability, it's important that we bring every single young person as much as possible represented to that table. And beyond that, to show seriousness in taking forward the recommendations. If not, let's not bother wasting scarce resources here in Nigeria. But in terms of it being a good move, absolutely. I've said it before, and I do believe that the president ought to show good faith, especially as young people have come out a number of times to say that their voices are not being heard and they must end hunger and protest. So this is a good move in that direction. Now, the second thing I'll then say is that the process must be transparent. As much as possible, it shouldn't be about money and jollofing. That's not what they are going there to do. So if we want to be serious, it must be that there are processes in place to ensure that the outcome of this conference is successful and can affect generations of Nigerians to come. The youth of Nigeria must have a voice, and that voice must be seen to be taken forward. Beyond that, I think another point he mentioned that's really important is the 2.5 million jobs that would be created by the Ministry of Labour and Employment. If you think about it, in the last 1 and maybe how many months of his administration, the ministry has been belabored by negotiations with organized labor that we hardly see what is there for the Nigerian workers and plans to create jobs. The unemployment rate has been adjusted in such a way that we cannot even understand the real issue on ground. But let's work with the figures on ground. What they've said is that 2.5 million, which would be aggregated over the years and increase. I thought that's a good move. Yesterday, I said I wanted to hear actual plans as to how to alleviate the sufferings of Nigeria and put money in the pockets of Nigerians. So this is a good move. But of course, as we often say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating, not in the announcements, but in the actualization of these plans that he has brought forward. Beyond that, he also talked about the sustainability bills. Earlier this year, he had announced the ASAP, that's the Sustainability Advancement Program, and talking about that, he said they'll put up economic bills to the House of Assembly to ensure that taxes, so the Joint Tax Committee, the recommendations from that committee, taking it forward and taking it to the legislative so that it becomes concrete and we have less tax burdens on businesses and individuals. These are some of the concrete things that we hope to hear. So aside from the other things, these are some of the things I'll hold on to, and hopefully when we evaluate the success or the actualization of these announcements, we won't come back to saying the same old story. Well, let's move on to other stories. We mentioned earlier that we would be going to the streets today to speak to some of our correspondents who are on ground to capture the spirit of today's celebration of independence and also, of course, the protests taking place. It's Independence Day celebration of Nigeria, and beside it is a planned protest scheduled to deal with the rising cost of living in Nigeria. As usual, we will be bringing you live updates and situation reports across the country. Let's begin in Lagos, where Arise News correspondent Omobolanle Adesui is on ground in Ikeja. Good morning, Omobolanle. Good to see you.
Good morning, Ayo.
All right.
Good morning. Well, we're live at Ikeja on the bridge where the protest, the End Bad Governance protest is taking place. And you can see the mammoth crowd right here asking for better governance. They are saying that they are tired of the hunger, the hardship, and all of the hike in prices. Electricity, you can see them holding some placards, some asking for a reduction in the tariff, and also asking for a reduction in the prices of goods and services. And also here we have security men on ground who are here to provide security and ensure that law and order is maintained on this ground. And so we are here to speak with some of them to get their concerns and hear what they have to say about the protest. We will also be speaking with the Commissioner of Police, who is right here to tell us what exactly their plan is to ensure that peace and security is sustained in this place. Let's speak with one of the protesters here who would be telling us what their grievances are and why they are here on this protest ground to air those grievances. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm Comrade Ibrahim Oluwatobiloba.
So what are your concerns? Why are you here?
Well, simply because the last time that we did our protest, the president came out and made some empty promises. All the promises that Tinubu made, none of the promises has been fulfilled. Even the 70,000 minimum wage, he has not paid any workers. And if you look at it now, things are getting worse. Nigerians are hungry and angrier than before. In fact, the economic situation is unbearable. So we cannot fold our arm and allow this government to unleash terror on us. That's why we are here to continue to protest until Tinubu listens to us and reverse the policy that has brought us where we are today.
So what exactly are your expectations? We know that the End Bad Governance held, recently, that was on August 1st to 10th. What are the assurances that you have that this particular protest will yield better results?
We have great assurance. It is when the people don't speak out that the government will take them for granted. But government is always afraid of the people. Now, we are going to sustain this protest. It's going to be a series of protests. And where I'm seeing is more and more people have been thrown into poverty. Definitely those that are thrown into poverty will come out to join the protest. And if the government sees that the protest is mounting, the momentum is mounting, Tinubu will be left with no option than to listen to us and revise the policy that has brought untold hardship on Nigerians.
All right, thank you very much. All right, you just heard from a protester. We'll also be getting the Commissioner of Police as soon as it's ready for us to talk to us about what exactly their plan is to ensure that law and order is maintained here. Ayo.
Right. Okay. Well, by the way, how peaceful is this protest? Who are the leaders? Do you know whether the leaders are on the ground? And you said the Commissioner of Police is there with you in Ikeja. Do you have access to him to let him give us his own reflection?
Yes, I have access to the Commissioner of Police. We'll probably go over to him now to speak with him so that you can get to hear from him. Okay, he's on a call. We'll probably get back to him as soon as it's done. As soon as it's done with this call, we'll get him on board to talk to us about what their plan is to ensure that law and order is maintained. But so far, there hasn't been any issue of violence or any outbreak of violence in this place. It's been peaceful so far. Everyone has been maintaining composure. Let's speak with the Commissioner of Police right now. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Independence.
Happy Independence. You're with Arise News. Talk to us about your plans to ensure that law and order is maintained in this place today.
We had plans in place before this protest, and the plans is really working out. You can see for yourself, the whole place is peaceful. We've been here since 3 a.m. The protesters met us here, and they met with me and said, what guarantee do I have that they are safe? And I told them they are really safe, so long as they are not unruly and they keep within the ambit of the law. So far it's looking good.
So are you, the men are on ground here, that all of the plans that you are putting in place will not have any issues? Because the last protest, there were some issues of violence. What are your expectations?
There won't be any issues here. Because prior to this, I had a meeting with all these CSOs in my office. 80% of them are here. We all reached an agreement in the office that there will not be breakdown of law and order. So if they keep to their own side of the bargain, there won't be any issue here today. And our lecture my men to be civil, and we don't want a fracas.
All right, you heard from the Commissioner of Police, Dr. Abati.
Just help us in terms of defining the major demands of the protesters. This is a follow-up to the end bad governance protest. Now they say hashtag fearless in October. What are the specific demands for the benefit of our viewers?
All right, we see some placards here. We'll probably have to speak with more of the protesters, but there are so many placards here. Some of them asking for the government to end hunger in the land, saying a being power. And then we see some saying they want another general strike with mass protest. We also see end all attacks on Democrats' rights and reverse electricity tariff hike. So many placards here. We'll definitely speak with some of the protesters to let us know what their concerns are so that the government can attend to them.
Some of the protesters, and let's talk. Ask them about, their demands, and ask them what is their reaction to this new government confab for youth. That would they be part of it? Would they want to be part of it and sit down and talk to the government?
All right, so you'd probably have to walk down with me to the center of the where the real action is happening, so that I can get to speak with some of the protesters to talk to us about their grievances. Let's speak with you. Good morning, please tell us.
Good morning, my name is
You're with Arise News. Talk to us about your concerns.
Yeah, my concern is that as a Nigerian, what brought us here today is the result of the past. Because during the time of the election, I think we all know that it's going to happen like this. Maybe the youth have not done what they've done in the past. Because those people that carry the ballots, those people that have a chance people, they are the youth. So now we are here now. We are saying we don't want the government anymore. But to me, I see the country. It's only a country I see where people are suffering.
Omobalale, we're going to have to come.
When they suffer.
Omobalale, we're going to have to come back to you so that we're able to sort the audio out. We really would love to. Omobalale, just hold him for a second. We want to really hear what he has to say, but we're having some interference with the audio. We'll come back to you in a short while once we're able to settle the audio. In the meantime, it's great to hear that the protests have been peaceful so far, to see the presence of the police. I think more than that, I'd like to hear the efforts of the police. The new CP, he just resumed in Lagos this month, CP Olawale Ishola, as to how they will protect the protesters, in terms of maintaining law and order, and just to the...
Look, in all fairness to Lagos, I think Lagos has learned a lot since the EndSARS debacle. So things are done a lot better. The last protest showed it. We saw synergy to a large extent. Even when they had the scattered Jews, they were able to communicate with each other effectively. Although we still had some skirmishes back and forth where the protester says, okay, the police were against it. We still had some cases where some protesters were beaten, by all of these bad boys in society. But largely...
And in some instances, they were there, they were watching.
And they were watching. So we still have those cases, but largely we have seen a better working relationship. So he said they've been there till 3 o'clock. I think what we should even ask is it only under Ikeja, under bridge if converged? Because
another place.
I think probably there might be other convergence points across Lagos. I know the Ojota Park is another convergence point, and there are a couple of other places they converge. So what has been the security put in place to be able to ameliorate that? But most importantly, I think the conversation also that we'll have loved to have with them is the demands. Because you see, if a purpose of something is not known, abuse becomes inevitable. How many people of those protesters really are acquainted with those demands? So how can we ensure those demands? And let's probably talk about the fact that government is saying they want to talk to the young people now. are they ready to
willing?
speak?
Yes, all right.
To
Well,
the
we have
government?
Omobolanle back, and Omobolanle, you were speaking to one of the protesters, and the question that Rufai had asked was to ask them if, according to the speech of the president this morning, announcing the National Youth Confab, would they be willing to be a part of that process?
Okay. Looks like we lost her there, but again, you know, the demands, they will keep putting them across, but maybe the National Confab will provide an opportunity for Nigerian youths to articulate their views after the fashion of the engagement with Kenyan youths by President William Ruto.
So, guys, Dr. Watibi said it's like a routine speech, you know. That tells you how idle our leaders are. These are leaders. They are idle to the point that even their aides cannot come up with good speeches when we have days like this that we really celebrate. This is something that comes up once in a year, and Tinubu's team cannot sit down and craft a very good speech, even though they don't have any concrete achievement they can enlist in that speech. Guess what? They just wrote things that could not, align with one another. So, guys, a whole lot is happening in this country when it comes to the kind of leaders we have in this country. Now he's asking the youths to come for a confab. He's even planning to give awards to those he deemed necessary or fit to receive those awards. Who else, if not those who are working towards, bringing him back in 2027. So, guys, a whole lot is happening in this country. And that is why we keep saying, see, don't leave Nigeria at the hands of these so-called leaders. Because they don't even have any clue. As you can see now, many of them, their brains are already expiring. Their brains are not updated. They don't know what's happening in today's world. If Tinubu had known what is happening in today's world, go to places like India, who have empowered their youth, and they are taking it by storm, as in changing changing the trend. We have all known India to be one of the poorest countries, but guess what? Things are changing for them because their government understood that, okay, with this population we have, we can empower them and let them fend for themselves. Give them life, give them enabling environment. And that is what is happening. Even other countries like Philippines and other places, all these remote jobs are giving money to the citizens, and the government is tapping from it because some of them will pay taxes, and some of them will be able to pay for their mortgages, take care of their younger ones, and their life continues and life keep getting easier. But when it comes to Nigeria, in short, Tinubu say take away their purchasing power, because you that could afford a bag of rice, maybe at the end of the month you buy a bag of rice, bag of garri, bag of rice, beans and garri, and keep in your house. You that could afford that, you can't afford it today. You are even struggling to buy just rice. You can't even afford a bag. But if it were to be before, when you receive your salary, you make shopping, you buy all these things and stock in, and you make sure that your family will not go hungry. But as it stands now, these people have taken away your purchasing power. They make you collect your salary to be good for nothing. Even when they told us they are going to increase salary to 70,000K, how many people are receiving that 70K? And with that 70K, you can't even afford a bag of rice. But before, when you were collecting something less than that, you could afford a bag of rice, garri, and also, beans for your family, for your children. But today, it's not like that. That's to tell you that these people, they know what they are doing. They just take this governance in Nigeria as a business. They are not coming for you. If they are coming for you, Tinubu would have not accepted a new private jet. He would have used that money to go address the challenges of out-of-school children or address the challenges of the IDPs. Tinubu would have used that money to build schools in the north or other parts of Nigeria. But because it's not about you and I, it's about them, they don't care. That's why they use the money anyhow. If Tinubu's government know what they are doing, we wouldn't have used 21 or 22 billion to build a residential lodge for the vice president. The vice president wouldn't have allowed the one he knows that majority of the people in his states are in IDP camps, looking for money to start businesses, even if it's as little as 50K, 100K. But the vice president don't deem all those necessary. And that's why he accepted a new presidential lodge when he would go and live with his family, while his people are scattered all over the state. I mean, those of them, we saw a video of women doing nothing. They were just sitting down on the street, whether begging for money, I don't know. So you can see how vulnerable such people are. So guys, these are some of the things we keep talking about when it comes to Tinubu's government, because it is just a mess as it stands. It is a total mess. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. See you in my next video. Thank you for watching and God bless you. Bye.